Last time, on the program, the creeper kept on creepin', but then Realm attacked him and broke his arm and the creeper was fired. We were right to be suspicious of Realm because it seems that he is working for the program, but he didn't mean to fall in love. And just when Sloane finds out some answers, Realm conveniently erases them using yet another nondescript memory erasing drug. Hey everyone, we're in the bedroom today because Adam needs to study and he's doing so in the living room, so bedroom is all ours. As we read some more of this, the first few chapters are going to be coming up on YouTube. I want to make sure that I stay caught up. I always try to read ahead and get a backlog of footage before I start publishing the read-along in case I need to take a break or something. There won't be a gap. I was thinking about this book because, you know, when you're doing a read-along, you think about the book that you're reading and how a lot of these bad books that I read for these read-alongs have the same problem, or like problem for me, of there not being a really strong like plot for me, for the main character to follow. Not every single book has to be super plot driven and drive right through thing, climax. You know, not every single book is built like that. Some do meander more. There are side plots. There are reasons where a book might slow down and not focus on the main plot for a while. But I still feel like there has to be a main plot, and I just don't know what Sloane is trying to do in this book, where she's supposed to end up, what she wants, what she needs. And that's the big problem more than anything. Not necessarily that the plot is sort of meandering from one thing to another, but that Sloane is not a strong main character. She doesn't have a lot of personality, possibly even less personality now that her memory has been wiped. And like a character with a really strong personality, it would be really interesting to see what would happen to them when their memory was wiped. But her whole personality was just loves her boyfriend. Where is Sloane going? Both as a character, like what is her growth? Who is she going to be at the end of the book that maybe she wasn't at the beginning? Or she's not the type of character who really grows. Like even what kind of realization is she supposed to have at the end? What is she driving towards? Is she going to be the one that takes down the program? I can't see her doing that because she's such a blank slate. Katniss Everdeen, she is not.
I volunteer as tribute.
Or is she simply going to be eventually getting out of the program and finding James again so they can fall back in love? Like, what are we moving towards? And instead we just circle the drain as we continue her repetitive life within the program. Oh, this is convenient. We seem to have time jumped a bit. She's playing cards with her friends here in the program, and all of a sudden, I feel normal. Maybe the most normal I've felt since coming to the program. My medications have been cut down and my weight has stabilized. The fog that's been with me since the beginning is gone. So it's real convenient that we went from like very stressful previous couple of chapters to suddenly she's fine. Don't worry about her weight, it's back to normal, even though we've been watching her refuse to eat. But now she's fine again, thank goodness. I'm kind of surprised this didn't start like a new book within the book. You know, if we're going to have such a jump of her being, like, fine. We have our first mention of new patients. Sloane is feeling very superior to them because, like, she's like, we shouldn't be here. We're normal. Which is deeply insulting to anybody with mental illness. We're normal. And when the new patients come in, they're crying. But we're not sad and crying anymore, so we should be allowed to leave.
I'm not sad, you're sad. I'm not sad, you're sad.
So she's back to normal with Realm as well. He's leaving today. So many air quotes in this episode. Her suspicions about him are kind of like gone for the moment. Oh, I think Sloane is supposed to have had some character growth while here. They're walking the garden and Realm's like, we could be together. I want to find you again. I want to take care of you. And Sloane says, I don't want anyone to take care of me. I want to figure out how to take care of myself. She don't need no man. Thank goodness we, as the reader, watched her powerful growth from a girl reliant on a boy to a girl equally reliant on a different boy. Like, how many times did Realm fucking save her? She's the same, except for now she has no memory, but now she's like, I'd rather rescue myself. So Realm's presumably mother shows up to pick him up, and our main character does not have another revelation moment where she realizes how fake he is. So I guess she's just down with it. And Realm is like, Find me, come find me in the future. But he also whispers a warning to her, like, the program will always be watching you. And it's like, yeah, why wouldn't they? They've been watching me before. Why wouldn't they watch me after? So we skip again in time to Sloane leaving. She's having her, like, final meeting with Dr. Warren. And Sloane has made herself over. Her hair is straightened. It used to be curly because, you know, special protagonist girls all have curly hair. And they never have any of the problems that people who have curly hair have. Like, she goes for a long time in the program without taking care of her hair and doesn't talk about the horrifying just mat it must have turned into. But she's straightened her hair and she's cut it and she looks very different now. She talks about how little memory she has, which is kind of scary, and like her short-term memory seems to have been slightly affected, as well as her long-term, obviously. It is kind of confusing, like how much of her family memory did they take? Because at first it seemed like they take everything and these people come back a blank slate. And then much later in the book, they're like, oh no, they leave the memories of your family. But now it seems like they don't leave many memories of your family and you're just reliant on them to tell you who your family is. What are the rules?
When you've kept your brain, but the world's insane, how the hell you gonna find out the rules?
Sloane's 18th birthday is now 7 months away? They say that if she gets flagged again, she'll have to return to the program until she's 18. And I thought she was like 16 or something. I'm having so much trouble keeping track of these characters' ages. But now she's like, my birthday is in 7 months.
More like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
She's going to have a handler assigned to her for the first few months. Her friends have given her a gift, which makes me wonder, like, I thought all of them were actually going to be out before she was, because they were here before she was. But now she's leaving before them? The boys give her a deck of cards, because all they do is play card games together. So I think right here my camera must have cut off and I didn't realize it, but it was just the very, very, very tail end of this chapter. It's just Sloane going home. Her parents are waiting for her at the car. She says goodbye to the nurses and everything. And then we move on to part 3 of this book because we need that. And it's called Wish You Weren't Here. So that's all that really happened. That's all that you missed. Okay, we're back. We're still in the bedroom. It's still the same day for Wish You Weren't Here, part 3 of the program. I feel like this is not the sort of book that you really need to divide into like 3 sections. Like fantasy books you divide into 3 sections, or, you know, big, meaningful books you divide into 3 sections. This schlocky YA fare does not need to be divided into 3 sections. She is struggling a little bit with things that, like, prisoners struggle with when they get back to normal life, feeling like she misses the restriction and the schedule of the program. Oh, France and Germany are adopting their own versions of the program. I feel like nowhere should try to mimic anything the United States does as far as our medicine. We do have, like, good vaccines for our current plague situation, but at the same time, it's like America's medical system is fucked up and probably don't mimic us. So have the parents been given instruction, whatever you do not mention her boyfriend. We absolutely do not want her remembering her boyfriend. Okay, they did erase the fact that she was there when her brother died. They erased that memory, but they did not erase the memory of her dead brother. So now she knows she has a dead brother, but it's just like what happened is just a blank in her head, which I feel like does not actually solve anything.
I put the fires out.
You made them worse.
Worse? Or better?
Okay, her handler is named Kevin. Kevin the handler.
Kevin, it's okay. Mr. Fredrickson is nice.
Kevin?
Yeah, that's his name I just gave him.
She does have the sense that she should be uncomfortable around him, which makes me wonder, is Kevin actually creepy guy, but she just doesn't remember? He drives her to school, her handler does, and they have told her that she won't remember anyone at school, which is fine. Although maybe they're taking her to the special school. I don't remember what her school was called. They're taking her to Sumter High. And because she doesn't remember anything, I don't know if she's seeing this building for the first time or she just believes she is because she doesn't remember. I'm going to assume she's going to the special high school. So her medication does a weird thing. It's called an inhibitor, but, like, not the way we think of inhibitors with actual medication. She starts to get anxious, and the pill just, like, shuts it off. Like, she feels it physically shut off her anxiety. And that's just kind of creepy. Don't worry, though. Kevin has more of those pills in his glove compartment. Yeah, Kevin also points out that it might be difficult for her to pick up her school subjects where she left off, and I'm like, man, that's just what teenagers need. As if our education system wasn't shitty enough. Now we're gonna have to try to have high schoolers with holes in their giant gaps in their memory go back to school. It's a terrible idea in every way. So unlike her old school where everything was white and austere, she does remember that. This one has encouraging posters on the wall. I'm assuming one with a cat hanging from a branch that's like, hang in there. And they also have like vanilla essential oils wafting to keep everybody calm. And I'm like, you know, keeping everybody calm would have also been good in her previous school. I'm pretty sure, though, the program is actually trying to get kids to be depressed, and so they put them in these, like, really oppressive situations with this horrible school and these horrible people, and watching friends get dragged away in bloody and horrifying ways. I'm pretty sure the program's doing it on purpose, so that kids will be more likely to become depressed, and then they too can be dragged away and have their memories wiped. Still have no idea why the program is trying to wipe the memories of teenagers. Like, why is that a goal? This author has a really weird obsession with food, and I'm actually starting to worry a little bit about Suzanne Young. Did she perhaps have an ED when she was younger? Because whether Sloane is eating, how much she is eating, how much she is not eating, is brought up way more than I think we need. Like, we do not need a sentence about how when they get to the cafeteria, Kevin chooses her food because he's worried that the medication will make her not hungry and she needs to eat and keep her weight up. And it's like, Suzanne, I always turn the book around and talk to the cover as though I'm speaking to the author. Suzanne, I'm a little bit worried about you. Are you okay now, Suzanne? I really hope so. She sits next to a girl at lunch who appears to have brought nothing but cupcakes from home. Okay. We've got a Lacey. Remember Lacey from the very beginning of the book, who was the girlfriend to Miller, the red shirt who died? She's still at the school, apparently. Again, how much time has passed? Who the fuck knows? But she's still here, and she's making friends with our main character again, so we're coming full circle. And she's remaking one of her old friendships. Proving that you can. Why doesn't anybody try that? Okay, now I understand why the author had the main character cut her wrists while the handlers were, like, coming for her. Because that did seem incredibly random. But now it's so she can look at the scars on her wrists and be like, they told me I tried to cut my wrists, and that's how I tried to commit suicide, and that's how I needed to be in the program. Slow clap for the foreshadowing, kind of, although I would have liked a slightly better reason for her to have cut herself in that scene where she was being taken away. Lacey gives our main character one of her cupcakes and says that she shouldn't eat the cafeteria food because it's drugged. Hopefully Kevin is not standing, like, right nearby hearing all of this. So she doesn't eat her real food, she only eats cupcakes, but she still feels satisfied by it. Kevin, however, is not pleased to see that she has not eaten any of the food on her tray. I feel like we should probably have women handlers for our teenage girls. I don't know why all the handlers are guys, but it's kind of creepy that this adult man is, like, guiding this teenage girl around, instructing her what and what not to eat. It's just, I don't like it. I do not like it. Kevin is like, okay, let's take another pill. They're really into medicating this girl. Definitely if you have issues surrounding medications and pill taking and such, this book probably is not going to be very healthy for you to read. They keep giving her drugs, and she's like, I wonder what happens if I say no. But she doesn't say no. She just kind of wonders what would happen, and then she takes it anyway. And that's the end of that chapter. I still don't know what the plot is. We are in the third quote-unquote book of this book, and I still don't know what we're aiming toward. I feel like it's going to end with her finding James again, and then leaving us on a cliffhanger of whether they will fall back in love. Maybe I'll, like, see if I can find, like, a Wikipedia plot synopsis or something for the other books to read at the end of this because, like, I just want to know if we ever get any answers about the program and why it works, and, well, it works, and whether they are doing this on purpose to children to make them depressed so they can get their memories wiped. And I hope you will continue to come along for the ride. Kinju is here. She is ready. Kinju was ready, but now she is left. So, I'm on my own. Oh, that's just annoying. If they can give her such targeted therapy so as to erase whole people from her memory, can they not make sure that she can remember rules of math? Like, she's trying to do her homework and she's like, I feel like some of the rules for math problems were erased from my head. And I'm like, that is highly unhelpful.
It's not stupid. It's advanced.
Oh good, she's decided that she's too frustrated with studying and she's gonna watch TV instead, and of course what's on TV? Why, a news program about the program. Of course! A news team tried to get into the facility where the main character was being reprogrammed, and they were unable to get in. So apparently at least some people in the press are getting suspicious. She starts to panic again, but this time she is thinking, what if they shut down the program and I'm one of the only people who's had my memory wiped? Will I be treated badly? As soon as she starts to panic, she once again physically feels her drugs just like shut the panic off. I wonder if the program costs money. That would be something else to like think about, especially if this book is set in the United States. Like, do poor people, do their children just have to commit suicide because they can't afford it? How much money does Sloane's family have? Do they have to pay anything for the program? Or is it for some reason free, which would make a lot of people very suspicious? Like, it's one thing to have a free vaccination for a deadly virus, but it is completely another thing to have a free, like, month-long intensive therapy and medication program. No, America, if it was to go dystopian in this scenario, if suicide was suddenly an epidemic for some reason, in America, teenagers would just have to die. And the very rich could go through the program, but that's it. Oh, Kinju is back. Oh, yay. And she just had a drink of water, and her collar hangs in the water dish. So she's now got water on me. Thank you. So she mentions her new friend Lacey to her parents, and they're both like, oh, because they know that she used to be friends with Lacey. The only thing any of these people ever talk about is the program. For some reason, her mother is just started talking about the program, and that in the UK, they had their first class of patients released. These people have nothing else in their life except the program. Even though the whole suicide thing is only affecting teenagers, adults have no other things in their life. Oh no! Sloane isn't eating! What odd behavior for her! Why, we've never seen this from her before. Our main character is some sort of, like, lizard creature that only needs to eat, like, once a month. She does, however, refuse to take her next pill. She spits it out in the sink. And now, oh, they've really truly broken Sloane. She's wearing a pink button-down shirt and a khaki skirt. She's been ruined. They've taken away her entire, not like other girls' wardrobe. Now she's wearing pink.
Agony far more painful than yours.
Now here again is sort of perpetuating a negative stereotype. I don't think the author is meaning to necessarily, but there's the stereotype that medication for mental illnesses like reduces you somehow, it makes you sluggish or in a fog, and it can. It definitely can, especially if you haven't figured out your dosage or perhaps the right medication for you. But there is a stereotype that it will always just make you not yourself, and this book is perpetuating that because Sloane is like, I think about taking my medication, but then I decide no because I want to be aware of what's going on around me. So I don't think the author is necessarily meaning to do that, but she is just solidifying that stereotype, potentially for any young readers who may be reading this going, you're right. My medication is making me feel duller. I should stop taking it. It's a concern that I have, that it might sort of plant the seed in their head of like, I should be like Sloane. I shouldn't take my meds anymore. It feels like she's at the dog park, and she is the dog. Kevin, her handler, He takes her to the wellness center, and like there's a whole bunch of people there and everybody's milling around and there's a foosball table and everything, and so he like essentially lets her off leash, like lets go of her arm, and then he goes and leans against the wall with other handlers, and she's just allowed to like mingle, and it just feels so much like she's a toddler at a play place, or she's a dog at a dog park. So she gets overwhelmed because one of the boys is asking her questions. I don't know why this boy is here, because he's not a returner, but he doesn't seem to be here for anyone. So she sneaks out onto the patio to get some fresh air. So the boy who is hassling her comes out, and she's like freaking out because she thinks maybe he knew her in her previous life, but he's not telling her. So she starts to cry, and he starts to freak the fuck out because he can't be near someone who's crying because he might catch the suicide. So everybody's freaking out now.
I'm freaking out, man.
James is here. We have a James sighting. He has come to the rescue.
Easy, miss. I've got you.
And also, we all know that Sloane cannot ever have a situation that she deals with herself. She only has situations that boys rescue her from. And James threatens, like stone cold, he threatens to turn Liam in. Liam is the boy who was hassling her. Now, I probably am supposed to remember Liam myself from earlier in the book, because he is very clearly somebody from their past lives, but like, your character's gonna have to leave some kind of impression on me if I'm gonna have any hope of remembering him. Oh no! Good to see that James's personality hasn't changed. She's like, thanks for saving me, and he's like, you shouldn't let yourself cry. That's the end of that chapter, but his iconic line, you shouldn't let yourself cry once you start, and he doesn't finish it, but we all know that it ends with him being like, once you start, you just can't stop. Because, like, crying is like Pringles. Should we go into the next chapter? Let's see how long it is. I always check as though it matters. And it's a little bit longer than usual, but whatever, I gotta get through this book somehow. Lacey doesn't matter as a person either. The only reason that we have Lacey is so that we can get to James. Like, I expected some fireworks, some true love moment when she saw James again, but she's not even describing what he looks like. Kevin takes her out, and she's talking to him, and he's like, he spills that he was assigned to her for a reason, and she's like, what reason? And it was Realm. Realm got Kevin assigned to her. She is being specially watched by Kevin, so that she can meet up with Realm someday, off the grid. She sees Lacey at school the next day, and she says, I don't know what happened last night, she says quietly enough that Kevin won't hear. But the way Liam tore out of there, I'm guessing he was a dick and you told him off. No, honey, no, Sloane doesn't do any of her own telling off. She waits for a boy to come and chase away anyone who's bothering her. Okay, now we're gonna get a crush moment with James. She's in math class, and then all of a sudden James comes in. Presumably he's been in her math class. She just didn't notice him because why would she? But now she's like, oh wait, he hot though. Button-down shirts seem to be a sign that you have been brainwashed. I don't know what button-down shirts ever did to Suzanne Young, but she definitely views them as like the clothing of the man. James is a total mysterious bad boy now, so we get to have like both of the tropes of him being her longtime lover at the beginning of the book, and now a mysterious new crush at the end of the book. Lacey is talking about the non-returners, and she says they spread suicide. Maybe if you wore masks? Wash your hands more? I don't know. How does it spread? She spots James, and of course he's sitting alone. We really are getting like all of our guy tropes in one book. She realizes that Lacey is dressed very preppy as like a disguise, because Lacey is a bit of a rebel, you see. Lacey would be a much more interesting character to follow. Apparently there's no gay in this dystopia. Sloane is talking about how she can't remember if she's had a boyfriend before. And Lacey's like, maybe you like dudes on motorcycles, or super nerdy guys. She giggles. She never considers that maybe Sloane likes women. I mean, we know Sloane doesn't, but that's not even a consideration. I don't know why boyfriends are evil. Sloane asks Lacey if Lacey ever asked her parents who she dated before the program, and apparently Lacey's parents like had a friggin' aneurysm and freaked out about it. There must be something about teenage significant others that is going to somehow ruin the program. Lacey went to her room to see if she could find any evidence of her previous love, but there was nothing. She says, probably a good thing though. I mean, how healthy could my past relationship have been if I was suicidal? You live in a world where suicide is an actual communicable disease. That's why you were suicidal. Your relationship had nothing to do with it, and you know that. I just read one of the quotes on the back from other authors. Suspenseful and touching, the program feels frighteningly real, which is from Jay Asher, author of 13 Reasons Why. Frighteningly real, huh? What world are you living in, Jay Asher? I am kind of concerned about you if you think this feels frighteningly real. Alright then, I guess. I'll see you for the next chapter. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and... Oh hey, I've been working out my muscles because I have got a lot of patrons to read, and it's gonna take me all my energy. Let's go! We've got Steve, Rainfall, Kit, Hidden Glade, Persephone, Light Julie, OS, Anna, Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Artemis, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, Sarah, and Lennox. Whew! That was a workout, but I made it through. And you can bet that you have never heard of a better group of patrons in your entire life. You haven't. You just haven't. It's impossible.
Well, I certainly hope this little incident hasn't put you off flying, miss. Statistically speaking, of course, it's still the safest way to travel.
Right. Wait! Who are you?
A friend.